el lavatorio. Yo vine del lodo, ahora quieren fotos. Y vamos por todo, cocinando en el lab.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the GMRT Experience.
Let's go!
We are so excited to be here. It is literally a museum in here. I am kind of embarrassed now. I don't want him to come over because it's like just white walls, but I know you're going to give us some great ideas. So we'll definitely have you over.
We are. I'm excited for this episode because you guys are going to get a lot of value out of this because these two are young entrepreneurs that they're actually doing it. When I started this podcast, I wanted to make sure that I will bring people that are doing things. When I was in the other side trying to figure things out, I will look at people like, doing podcasts or building their business and think that they were from another planet. Like, what are these guys doing? How do you do that? How do you start a business? How do you do YouTube? Like all that cool stuff. So we're going to go deep in this episode because a lot of these are the people are listening to this. They're either starting their business, they're already on their journey. But what I've noticed from the messages that I've gotten, people are, sometimes they're a little bit afraid to start. So we're going to give them some game, some value so they can get going. So just to start out, just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all that fun stuff.
We're Trendy Treats. We're a candy manufacturer. I like to say we're a social media company, but Mel handles all our operations. I'll let her talk more about that, but I handle more of the media side of the company. But we make cool content for kids, and we sell candy through social media and in retail stores. That's kind of our background. I can let Mel talk a little bit about what she handles.
So I basically focus on all the logistics, so moving our product in and out of our warehouse and managing our entire team, which is very stressful but very fun, and I wouldn't trade it for a thing. And he definitely eats more candy than me, but we're both candy lovers.
I eat candy every day. Every day, all day.
You gotta test your product, dude.
I eat all types. Like I even eat the worst candies. I was eating candy corn all week just because it's Halloween, and I'm like, I don't know, dude.
I was literally like, you're literally eating the worst candy possible. What are you doing? Like, stop eating candy corn. We have better candy in the office.
So I wanted to ask you guys, before we go into what you do and all that cool stuff. So how did you guys meet? How did that happen? And just tell us, because this is going to tie it into what you guys do and how you're doing it together.
I'll let Mel tell this one. She's usually better at the love story.
All right, so the love story starts when we were 15 years old. No, just kidding. So I had the biggest crush on him in high school, but we were just friends. I got friend zoned. It's okay. Puberty helped. And fast forward, it's my second to last year in college. Zeus is already living out here in Utah, and we were good friends. He was going back to visit in Texas, and he was like, "Hey, we should go on a date." And I was like, he's playing, we're just friends. I already know he's messing around. It ended up being an actual date. And then he asked me out, and I was like, no, you live in Utah. I live in Texas. This isn't going to work. And he's like, just think about it. All right, I thought about it. We ended up being in a long-distance relationship for a year and a half. And then during COVID, we both got the opportunity to... During COVID, we both had the opportunity to move in together and also start our business since everything was on pause. He had a production company. I was working retail, so I know a lot about the struggles of retail. And we got laid off, and we're both workaholics, and we're like, we need to do something. And so we decided to start a candy store because we had made TikTok videos, and there was a large kid following, and it was a consumable product that we can sell. And during COVID, the manufacturers were closed overseas, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to get candy, and we started making our own. I remember Zeus told me, oh, we can make our own candy, and I was like, what do you know about making candy? You do not know how to make candy. And he started mixing things up, and we started testing stuff in the kitchen, and after a lot of no's, we finally got a yes. And we've been running it now for 3 years together, and it was very hard at the beginning, but we've definitely learned how to work together more. And that just goes with as we've grown, it's easier and easier because we have more defined tasks, where before we were both working on the same thing and we would kind of butt heads a lot because we're both, I feel like, we both have leadership inside of us. And so it was like, well, I want to do this, well, I want to do this. But now I think we allow each other, like if it's a marketing thing, Zeus has the final answer, and if it's an operations thing, I have the final answer.
So good. That's really good, like that you guys have something special because, I'm assuming, like, from what I'm listening, you're doing what you're good at and he's doing what he's good at.
Right.
And that's kind of how I'm building this thing. I don't have a wife or a girlfriend right now, but I rely a lot on my team. Mm-hmm. So they let me do what I'm good at, and then I allow them to do what they're good at. And you find that balance. And what I'm realizing, especially this year, that's how you really, really grow.
Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, it's the same with any team member. The only difference with a wife is you don't leave, right? Like, you can't leave. Your team members can leave, but once it's your wife, it's like, hey, you're not going anywhere, so do your part.
The only difference is you go home and you're still mad about what happened at work.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. So yeah, like, once you guys are, I know there's not, like, off work because you're always going.
Yeah.
But, okay, once you're at home, do you guys bring that at home, or like is there like, okay, we're not talking about that, or how does that work?
No, we tried at the beginning, but honestly, and it's just the way I feel personally, like I feel like I am my work. So, and I know Mel feels like this sometimes. Obviously, we have things we like to do outside of work, but I feel like I am my work, and if there's anything I ever want to talk about, it's probably work or it's something. And if we don't want to talk about work, there usually is something that happens where it's like, hey, we have to talk about this. So one way or another, we always end up talking about work. I think as long as your relationship is good, it won't be a problem. Like, if we're spending time together, if we're giving each other time, if we're respecting each other, we can talk about work all day, every day. And as long as we're holding that flame and passion behind it, it's not going to be a problem. I think where it's a problem, it's where we're butting heads on ideas, we're going home, someone hasn't put their ego down. I think that's where it's an issue. Because work is awesome, and talking about the same thing it's awesome, right? It's like your passion, it's just like having that like desire for something and just loving it so much. And I think it only becomes a problem when someone can't put their ego down.
So good.
And I think we've also learned to like read each other, because there is days where we're both like, it's rare, we're always talking about work, we're literally like about to fall asleep and it's like, wait, I forgot to tell you something that happened today. But we've learned to read each other, and I've learned that like when we're like absolutely exhausted, we'll kind of both look at each other and it's like, okay, we're just gonna sit in silence for a little, because we've had a long day. But for the most part, we'll go eat dinner and we'll talk about work. And I think at times it becomes a little bit difficult. And I remember I used to be like, oh, well, where do we draw the line, right, in relationship and co-founders? But I feel like now we've found like a perfect balance. Like, we'll talk about work, but then we'll talk about like something about ourselves, and it'll just kind of come naturally from the conversation.
I think you can't draw a strict line, because if you try to draw a strict line, you're just going to be focusing on that person crossing it.
So good.
And I think there's more issues. It's like, okay, here's the line. Now it's like, okay, now I'm waiting to see if you're going to cross it.
Dude, that's really good, because it's funny, because the last episode that I just did a couple days ago, I was this other guy, very successful kid, and I was asking him, because something that I struggle when I bring somebody into my life, I don't have an on and off. Like, I'm always on. And I've realized that when they come into my world, a lot of times it catches them off guard. And as I'm, we go to the same church. As I'm walking this path with God, I've been trying to like think about like when that woman shows up into my life, I need to be upfront and honest. Hey, this is who I am. I'm very passionate about what I do. I want to bring you in, but it's like I've never done that before. And I used to crash with a lot of good people, actually. Now that I think about it, dude, I had some good women in my life, but I couldn't express like, this is me 24/7. Like, I live, eat and breathe this thing.
Yeah, and I think it's good. Like, I think someone has to love you for who you are, and I think that's what's gonna bring you someone. Like, if you're very creative, like, I feel like you need someone creative in your life, because they're gonna understand that even if they're not as creative, right? They're gonna understand the passion and the drive, and someone who's willing to go through the journey with you, which I think is something like super rewarding, where we're both like, there's been times where he wants to go home or I want to go home, and we understand, like, oh no, they want to stay, and there's times where he wants to stay longer, there's times where I want to stay longer, and it's like, oh, I understand your passion and I understand your drive, and I'm here to support it. And I think that's a successful relationship, where you guys can support each other's goals, even if it's not the same goal. Because in a way, like, even though we work together and we're working towards the same company, our goals are different. Like, he wants to be a YouTuber, like, he's accomplished one of his goals now, and I want to, like, manage like over 50 employees. Like, that, we have different goals within the same company. So I think as long as you're able to build together, that's like the ideal relationship.
Yeah, and I think you got to figure out your role, right? Not everybody is meant to work together. And me going into my relationship, it is something that I wanted. I loved power couples, and I liked looking at power couples. And a lot of my close friends were power couples, and they worked together and managed businesses together. So I was like, oh, I want that. But I feel like sometimes finding the right person might be someone to hold it down at home, someone to like be there for you emotionally, someone to raise your family if that's what your goal is. And I think it's also important to, like, hey, sometimes your partner is not meant to be a part of your company, and that's okay. I think it's okay to not be a part of it, and it's also awesome if that's what you want, because I know it won't work for everybody. It is something I think that we love to do, and it's something that I craved, and it's something that works well. But I also think it's important to realize, like, hey, like, the day might come where we might split as far as like our career, where like one of us might say, hey, I'm done with this, or I want to venture into something else. And I think that we have to realize, like, hey, that's okay. Like, we're one couple, but we're still individuals, and we got to be there for each other, whether it means being co-founders or whether it's just being a family at home.
So good. Dude, that's really good.
I got deep.
That's good. Hey, so
what's in the water?
So going back to that, because she was talking about one of my questions for you, Zeus, was I recently, I saw that the big goal that you just hit on YouTube, and when you posted that reel, you showed some videos like when you started and when you wanted to quit, and how was that journey hitting that 1 million subscribers? And because I know, bro, like when you start and you said something that you wanted to quit and all of that, like, please take us there. How did that happen? And like, what was the journey from like wanting to quit, wanting to quit, and now look at you?
Yeah, it's funny. This is the first time I actually talk about it, like talk about it. I think it hasn't fully settled in yet. Like, I still don't believe it, and I think that like my emotions haven't caught up to it yet. To even now, like you saying that, it's like, oh wow, like we're there. The truth is, I never wanted to quit, and I've never thought about quitting. I did think it was probably not possible at some points, like maybe it wasn't me. But that video of me as a kid where I say that I don't know if I want to keep going, it's actually like a lip sync video where I sing Rihanna's Unfaithful song. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it was a whole joke. And I'm like, oh, this works perfectly for this video. But looking back at it, I never wanted to quit. I think it's just like it never happened for me, right? And it's just like, oh, like maybe this isn't for me. Like I did one YouTube channel for like 2 years, and then it's just to where like, oh, like it's not me. Like, I'm not gonna be the YouTuber. Like, it's just like I'm not making money. It's not happening. And then I just did it again and again and again and again, and every single time it was the same result, where it's like, oh, like you go in with it like saying, hey, like I'm going to like be a YouTuber, get 1 million subscribers, and you just do it for so long that it fades, where it's like, oh, like you do it because you love it, but you don't exactly have that like that like, oh, I want to get there anymore. I think my latest YouTube videos I was just doing just to do. Like I wasn't trying to make it anymore, you could say. I was creating content when we started dating, and it was just like I was already a videographer. I was getting paid to make videos, so it was just extra to me. It was like, hey, I'm just gonna make TikToks and make videos because it's what I truly like. And I wasn't even going at it with the intention of like, hey, let's hit it hard, you know. And then when we started selling candy, it was like, oh, like now I need to make sure this works, like because it's our marketing. Like I need to make sure we sell. And I think that pushed me more, and we saw it grow. Like I think we figured out the content that worked, and I remember getting like 1 million views, and then 1 million views a few days later, and then a million views a few days after that. And then I had clients that I was doing videos for, and I remember like I got a new client, his first video hit 1 million views, and then I did a video for a buddy of mine, and his video got 1 million views. And I think it clicked where I was like, oh, I figured it out. And I always thought like, man, like one day it's not gonna hit 1 million views. And I think we've been going viral now for 2 years, and now it's like, oh, okay, like we're here. Like we hit the 1 million subs, and it was crazy, honestly. It still hasn't fully settled in. Like I think the day will come maybe next week.
So I need to add on to this. So when we found out that we had 1 million subscribers, he was really sick that day. He was literally, I think he got food poisoning. I don't know. He was like in bed, like, and I was like, we hit it. And he was like, yeah, I saw. Like he was just like he was dead, and so I feel like we were both anticipating the moment so much so that it can be celebrated. But he was just so sick the day we hit it, and he was kind of frustrated because we were out of town when we hit it, and he was like, I really wanted to be home when we hit it, and then we were out of town when we received the plaque, so he couldn't like get that moment receiving the plaque. So we came back, I think it was like a couple days later when the plaque arrived to the office, and then they finally opened it, and it was still like, I feel like it was still like unreal to everybody in the team. Like we saw it all in the office, and it was like, oh, there's a plaque, but it didn't fully kick in. We did a photo shoot this week with the plaque, and it's still, I feel like we're still like we're holding it like we don't know what it is.
So, but does okay, I want to go a little deep on this. I'm curious. So, how does it work? Do you get an email? Does somebody on YouTube call you? Like, hey, how does it work?
Yeah, so we get on our back end we see like the live subscriber count, and we were waiting for the live subscriber count because we were gonna make our candy store free for 1 minute.
What's your YouTube channel?
Trendy Treats.
Okay.
So we were gonna make our whole website free for 1 minute, and we were in the middle.
Smart.
We were in the Middle East, and we were in a hotel, and I was laying down, and I was just watching it. Like I had been in bed for like 2 days.
Dying.
We extended our trip one day just so I could sleep at the hotel, because I'm like, I'm not flying back like this. Like I'm not getting on a plane. But to answer your question, you hit it, and then it's kind of awkward at the beginning, because you don't hear anything from anyone. Like it's just like you hit it, and I think we were like we had already passed 1 million by like 80,000, and we still hadn't heard anything. And then you get an email from YouTube saying, hey, like you've hit 1 million subscribers, congratulations. We just need to verify, because they won't give certain channels. Not everybody gets a plaque. There's channels that are banned from plaques, or channels that are not allowed to get it. I guess if you're like just reposting movies, right, that aren't yours, or if you have a lot of strikes with YouTube because of your content, but there's channels that won't get it, so they just have to verify that. And then you actually get an email with a code to go to a website and claim it, and then you enter your code, you claim it, and then they actually let you type in what you want it to say, which I hate, because like our channel is Trendy Treats, but they actually like ask you like, what do you want it to say, and you can type in anything. And the only reason that scares me is because I misspell a lot of stuff. So I had everyone check it. I'm like, I know this is dumb, but I'm like, just look at it. Like, you don't know the amount of stuff I've ordered with something misspelled. So I'm just like, just verify it. I just can't be the only one that verifies this. But that's the way it works. And then once you receive it, you can actually order a replica if you want it.
Fancy. That's pretty cool. So where do you have your plaque? Is it in your office, your home? Where's it at right now?
It's in our office, so it's gonna be in. It's actually next to a Jesus piece that we got from Scott Travis.
Do you have the purple or
the blue?
Blue, okay.
Yeah, and we have it next to our 100,000 plaque. But I ordered a replica for the apartment just because. I mean, it's something that I've wanted since I was 13. I'm like, I have to see it in my house, right? Like I have to see it when I wake up.
Dude, that's so good. So, so I guess you already answered kind of how when you started your business and all of that, but something that I had here on my notes as I was prepping for this episode was there was a Pathfinder breakfast like a couple months ago, and you spoke. And you were talking, and you said something very profound that it hit. God did something in your life, like I think you said you guys already had hit $1 million or 7 figures, something like that. But once you went through that Pathfinder apprenticeship, or however they call it, it made that seem like nothing. Or something like that. You were what did that mean, bro? Like, I've been meaning to ask you that, like, because I'm actually thinking about doing it right after I finish Awaken You, and I was like, what does that mean? Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so I don't know. I've always been really closed off to doing groups and stuff and things like that, just because I've always been like, oh, you got to focus on your lane, right? Which I think is good for a season of your life, not your entire life. But it's funny, me and Mel were just talking about this. I have I've had it for like 5 years now, but I loved the book Think and Grow Rich, and it has the power of commitment. Mm-hmm. And my power of commitment was to become a millionaire by age, like, I think it was 19. And I have it on my desk. It's the same one since 2019. And every year I've scratched it off, added a year, and then signed it to seal it, like, oh, it's next year. So it's like, it says, I'll become a millionaire and more by 2019, scratch, 2020, scratch, 2021, scratch. And then 2022, scratch. And then Mel was asking me the other day, she's like, well, right, like, what is the definition of a millionaire? Because that can mean a lot of things. Like, by asset valuation, it's like you check that off, but I feel like what you think a millionaire is not the same as you doing $1 million in sales, because it comes with overhead costs. It's not your profit.
Yep.
Right? You could have sold $5 million, but it doesn't mean you can go afford like the $1 million house yet.
Yep.
So what I meant by that was I met people that have already been through that. I've met people that have sold done like $1 million in sales and stuff, and even like at a way bigger level. And I think the more people you meet that have been there, the more it opens your eyes. Like, we had a year of, maybe last year was like, I think it was like 3.5, and that's someone's like worst day. Like, not even year. Like, there's people out there that are running a business that if they did 3.5 in a day, man, they would lose it. Mm-hmm. And I think just meeting people that are playing at that higher level and also have been there for so long, right? It's one thing to like do over $1 million in sales 1 year, and it's different to be able to do it for 5 consecutive years. Because now you have money coming in from every year, but when you do it 1 year, you have so many expenses that it's like, hey, if you want to keep growing, you got to spend it all. So I met people in Pathfinders that had been doing it 4 years, and even if it's not that super high, like someone that's able to do 1 to 2 million a year for 20 consecutive years is going to be better off than like the person that made it in 1 year and spent it all and never did it again. So it just opened my eyes to meet people that had been there already. And I did meet like maybe 1 or 2 people in there that had hit over 100 million. And that's when I was like, man, like, once you hit your goal, I think you also realize how small it is.
So, see, that's what I realized as I meet a lot of like successful people. I bring them into my podcast or go to their events. It's like the definition of a millionaire is just, it's different to everybody, but it's the same thing that as you're talking about. Like, it's hard to do that first million, but it's even harder to keep doing it again and again and again, and the discipline that it takes to operate at that level.
Yeah.
I experienced it. Like, I know for me, like, you know, like, and we were talking about it off camera, like, I have to have a lot of things placed in my life, routines, because, yeah, I might not be a millionaire yet in whatever aspect the world will think, but the discipline that it takes, I need to start that discipline right now, because that's what it's going to require at that level.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have like a misconception, right, where they want the lifestyle, but they're not willing to put in the work. And I think that that's the most like eye-opening thing for me, right? Where it's like, oh, I want to be a millionaire, but I only want to work 4 hours a day. Like, you're not gonna get there that way, you know. And like hard, like the risk. I'm a firm believer in what you put in is what you get out. And we have dedicated literally our life. Like, we've, at one point, we even kind of like put our relationship on the side to just go full on the business because we want it so bad. And so I think you just have to be willing to put in the work. And anybody out there who's listening, right, who wants to start a business, just know that you're going to work twice as hard, right? Twice as many hours as you're working. Because if you don't have that discipline, like you say, you're not going to accomplish anything because you need to show up for your business.
And that's what that's why I have this podcast, because I want everybody that's starting out to know the truth. When I started out, it was hard for me to find like this type of information, like people that kept it real. Like, dude, yeah, it's gonna be freaking hard.
Yeah, no, I hate it. I mean, my biggest pet peeve is people always tell me like, man, I want to start a business so like I can just like chill, like so I can make my own schedule. And honestly, I just let people talk, you know.
Yeah.
Like, especially if I don't know them, I'm just like I like hearing people out and like seeing what they think. But the amount of times I get of like, man, like, I'm gonna start my own business so I don't have to work 9 to 5. I'm like, man, like I have to work 9 to 5. Like I have to. It's like I have to work 6 to 10 sometimes. But it's true. It's a lot more work, and I think that, right, you either have to be extremely talented or lucky to. There is those like millionaire entrepreneurs that did it. They got really lucky investing or did something, but. The average person can't compare themselves to that. It's like comparing yourself to an artist or an athlete. Unless you have the talent, you're not going to get rich quick. And if you do, you still got to work hard now, because now you're in a pool of talent that you're going against.
That's so good. Bro, you just hit it on the spot, because once you start playing at this level, there's a lot of talent.
Oh yeah, man. Or like what we considered our competitors 2 years ago, I look at them now and I'm like,
yeah,
like I'm cheering them on. I'm like, I'm cheering you on because I'm seeing the competition we have, and they're gonna shut you down.
Oh, dude. Me and my team talk about that all the time. Like the people that we were comparing ourselves before, I'm like, bro, like, good luck to those guys. We're comparing ourselves to other stuff. So you're hitting it on the spot, because that tells you the levels that there is in this game.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I feel like, we surpass, like, even, like, because I think it's good to have competition and kind of, like, work towards something. So I remember, like, back in COVID, there was people with more followers than us, and kind of comparing ourselves, like, oh, they still have more followers than us. And then we just literally surpassed them. And now it's like, oh, I didn't even remember them, you know? And now it's, like, a whole different group of people. And it's like, wow, I didn't even know these people existed until we got there, you know? And so it's an ongoing battle, because I feel like also our competition is what has allowed us to keep pivoting and keep innovating in our business, because you need competition, because it's not, I feel like when you feel like you're the only one or you're on top of the world, you really lose it. Like, you're going to lose your focus, you're going to lose your drive, you're going to lose your creativity. And when you see competition, it's like literally like someone's running behind you with a saw, and you're like, I gotta get as far away as possible from that. So it's stressful. I definitely am the one that like freaks out at first. I'll freak out, but I'll still like be working, but I'm like panicking, having a stress attack. And then Zeus is just like calm, but like strategic in his head.
So good.
And I'm like, how are you not freaking out about this? And he's like, we'll be fine. We just got to keep working.
I like being put up against the wall.
Dude, I relate to that because that's how I tell my team. Like they're the ones that watch what other people are doing. I don't. I'm like I like to dream. I'm a dreamer. So I tell them, okay, if there's something that I need to know, please let me know. But I don't, because it used to get to me like it will actually competition used to paralyze me. I used to like, oh shit, okay, now I gotta do what that guy's doing because I like he's better than me or that guy. So now I found that balance that okay, the team kind of like keeps an eye like, hey, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. Okay, let's talk about that. And I just focus more on the broader vision, and then we just put everything together, and that's how we keep scaling.
I like to remind myself that you got to look at your competition, but focus on your customer.
Yeah, because I feel like, I mean, if you're just always looking at your competition, it's going to eat you alive. Like, no matter what, like, you're going to feel like they're drowning you when you might not even be drowning. You might be drowning them, you know? So you just have to keep doing what you're doing. And I think, like you said, like, obviously see what they're doing, but don't stop what you're doing because you're doing something right. And I think that's been the case for us a lot, where it's like, oh, like, we're really focused on, like, the media side as well. Like, we're constantly creating content. We focus on attractive packaging and, like, a family-friendly brand. So I feel like we really know, like, our brand identity, and it's important not to just, and we've seen it a lot with people where it's like, oh, they're doing here, now let's do that. Like, they'll go with the trends, but it's like, you're not being honest to yourself or what you're building. And I feel like consumers feel that, you know, they're going to feel like, oh, one day he's doing this, one day he's doing another. People like consistency. And if they follow you, it's because they like you for who you are.
Yeah, so good. So that ties into my next question. So what are some tips for anybody starting now, or there might be already years on their journey to build their brand when it comes to like social media content, how they brand themselves and all of that? Because you guys are doing it really, really good at a high level.
I think it's just one of the best things I've heard is to document, right? If you're tired of creating, because I know as a creative you can get tired of creating new things, and some, like, I don't know, you could run out of ideas. You might be creating for so long that you don't even know what to create, and sometimes the best thing to do is just to document, because as long as you're working, there's going to be something to document. I think that we create a lot right now. We're in a stage where we're creating a lot, where we're constantly coming with new ideas, setting budgets for sets, going out and actually writing a script. And when we have no ideas, it's like, okay, let's just go do something fun and document it. And that'll usually also get us content. You don't have to create to get content. There's a lot of ways to get content, and I think it's becoming more accessible. One of the best advice that I ever got is the best camera is the one in your pocket. And I know I used to be like this, but you don't need a camera or a tripod or the most expensive light. If you have a camera, start creating content, because I've gotten more views off videos I've made on my iPhone 12, and I used to have a red camera that was like 30 grand. And like now I look at it, and I always have fights with like filmmakers and stuff, because I'm like, it's about reach at the end of the day. And my iPhone's gotten me more attention than a high cinema camera. So at the end of the day, my iPhone was a better camera in my purpose for what I wanted to achieve.
Dude, I relate to that because every piece of content that we create is created on an iPhone. I would say, okay, I can't afford a full-time videographer, so I had to get creative. Okay, I have a phone, and I got a second phone, and then my team, they have one phone, I have this phone, and everything we do, I tell them, everything we do every single day when we go to Costco, when we go visit clients, it's content. Get out the phone and then let's roll.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people set their limits with that. It's like, oh, well, I don't have a light, I don't have this. And it's like, you look at all these influencers now, you look at TikTok, everyone's shooting on their iPhone. Like, no one's going to take out a camera, learn how to edit, learn how to download a SIM card, when we all know how to use our iPhone. So I feel like a lot of people, it's stopping you by complicating things, right? Like, when you complicate things, you're not going to get things done. And to go back to your question, what I would recommend is delegating and building people up, which has been what has allowed us to grow so much. We found, okay, what is something at this stage of the business that we can delegate? And we're constantly doing that. Okay, who can we delegate this to, right? Because that allows like him to be more creative and focus on his ideas and his strengths, right? Because before we were packaging orders, we were packaging candy, we were doing everything, where it's like it gets to a point where and I feel like this was more for me because I'm kind of like a control freak, right? Like I have OCD, like things need to be done like my way because I'm very specific on how I like things done. But I realized like I can't, if I'm packaging candy all day or I'm packaging orders all day, I'm never going to be able to get more clients, right? I'm never going to be able to structure the business, right, in our operations. And so I think the biggest tip is don't be afraid to delegate things and trusting people with the things that you know. And I think that's always been back when I was in retail and management, I've never been like greedy with my knowledge, because just because you share, and Zeus kind of shared this too when we started dating, just because you share something with somebody doesn't mean that they're gonna go out and do it. You know, like you can't be greedy with your knowledge, and I feel like that's just what helps a company grow, right? Like if you weren't willing to show people how to sew or how to do the cuts, I mean, you're never going to be able to grow because you need to be doing other parts of the business.
No, it's very interesting because right now I'm in that season, delegating. So a couple months ago, I hired a mental coach because I realized for our company to get to the next level, it wasn't because the art, or like if I tell my team, let's go fucking build a table and customize whatever, we're gonna do it. It was all right here. And then our coach, he's been working with everybody in the company, and he works with them, and then he comes up to me and they, okay, this is what you need to work so the business starts flowing. And that's been the biggest thing. He's like, you need to start delegating more, because I thought like I had to micromanage every single thing, every customer. So now I pass things along, and it's been like, bro, it's been more freeing because now I'm like, I can see the vision, I can dream, and then I go dream, and then I come to the team, hey, let's do this, and then they're excited. So it's been so good this year, just like, well, not this year, like 2-3 months I just been doing this, and it's been the best thing I've ever done.
No, and I totally get you, and like I just feel like because it's I always say, like, we don't have a baby, but our business is our baby. Like, anybody talks bad, anybody touches it, I'm like mama bear coming out, like, this is mine. Like, you're not going to tell me this is not it. And I feel like that's what creates that, like, you obviously don't want your reputation with your customers to be ruined, right? But I think if you find the right people, they're going to kind of hop on your train of your mission, and they're going to help you move it forward. So
how many employees do you guys have right now?
We currently have 20 employees, and we actually...
Can we talk... Okay, how do you manage that?
So I'm basically the one who manages everybody. I had previous experience management, so I was able to commit a lot of mistakes elsewhere, which was good. But it's really... At the end of the day, it's about caring for people, honestly. Like, if you don't care for your employees, they're not going to care for the work that they do. True. And I make sure that they know that my door is always open, whether it's for a personal, and I always tell them, if you guys need advice, if you guys are going through a rough time financially or emotionally, my door is always open for you guys to come. And there's been multiple times where they have the confidence, right, to come, and not the confidence, the openness, I don't know, right? Trust. Like the trust to come to me with an issue, whether it's financial or personal, and I make sure that I show up for them. And I always tell them, like, if you, and likewise, like if they have something going on their personal life, right, I'm always like, I will respect your schedule as long as you respect the schedule that you're like assigned. And I think caring for people is really, really important. Like I can't imagine going into work and not saying hi to anybody. Every single day I make sure I go into our warehouse, because we have 2 warehouses. We have the production warehouse, and then we have like our media and packaging. And so I always make sure I go and I greet everybody, good morning, everybody, or if I'm leaving, hey guys, see you tomorrow. And I think it's just having those attentions and company culture. Every month I try to do a team activity, right? And or to give back to our employees. We do like soccer games, we do like cookouts, we do a bunch of stuff because we want that company culture and we want people to stay, because it's way more expensive for you to hire someone else and train them, and then the training process alone is a long process, right? People that don't just get it unless they have previous experience, but even then they have to learn your style and your customers. So it's way more valuable to retain your employees and develop them and grow them. And I think that's another thing, is encouraging growth and development, where it's like, oh, if you work here, you're not going to learn anything, you're just going to do this one job until you decide to leave. And I'm constantly like, no, like if you are here, I'm gonna make sure that I also add value to you, and if you decide to leave our company one day, you're gonna leave with more knowledge than what you came in, because that's what I want to be as a leader.
So good.
I also think that and I've always heard it, and it's something that we didn't do at the beginning because it's something that we couldn't do, but I think that you really do have to hire slow and fire fast.
Yeah.
I grew up, like when I grew up, right, like when I started my first venture, I was hiring the people around me, the people that were passionate, the people that, like, I need a videographer. Oh, I know this cool videographer. I need a photographer. I know a cool photographer. And I was hiring off like my circle of friends that I knew. And this week we actually have 2 new people joining the media team, which is really exciting because we hired 2 people at the same time, and that's never been done. And we're hiring for media. It's like we haven't grown our media team. We've obviously production. It's Wamel overseas, and we're running a manufacturing business. It's a whole business of its own and a whole company of its own. And I think it helps that we have it in a different warehouse, but that's like a standalone business right there. Is just like the manufacturing side of it. So it's exciting to grow our creative side and get people in there. But I think that one of the best things I just realized, and I learned this recently, is there's talent out there. There's people out there. Don't settle for what you think is around you, because I always hired from the people around me, and I am someone that believes in people, and I think that that's also a weakness of mine, right? When you believe in people and you see the good in everybody, you think that everybody can achieve great things, but the truth is that not everybody is meant to be on your team. And if you're going up against a big battle and you want to grow to be a multi-million-dollar corporation, you're not going to get there with weak people. And I think this is the first time I ever review like over 50 resumes, go in there, pay to promote the job search, post it on 3 different platforms, do an interview, cut it down to 3, and then still have my wife go in there and do a second interview just to make sure she approves of them, because she knows me well enough to know, like, oh, this would make a good person on his team. And I was scared because I was like, man, I really like this person. I was just praying, I hope she likes him, because if not, there's going to be a problem, because I already mentally hired them. No, but yeah, I think you just have to hire slow, and it's something that I realized, like the people starting with us this week, I'm super excited because it's it was different this time. I didn't settle for the people I knew already. I went out there and looked for what I thought our team deserved.
And just to add on to that, I feel like the wrong person can bring your whole team down. Like, one bad apple will rot all the apples around you, and I think we've learned that like the hard way, right? And it's all a learning curve, right? Like, as long as you learn from your experiences, I feel like you're good. But it's when you make the same mistake over and over, because that person can set you back. Like, we've had employees where it's like and I think I'm like a fighter. I'm like, no, like, I believe in people like Zeus. Like, I believe in them. Like, they're gonna do better. They're gonna get better. But me holding on to that thought just held us back because as soon as those people were let go of, it was like boom, like production doubled or tripled, content doubled or tripled. It was like insane, like what one person can do to a team.
I made that mistake I made it last year. That's why I do what you talk about. It's like when I hire people, I make sure like I take my time, and then if I need to let somebody go, which it hasn't happened since last year, because I used to hold into like no, I see it.
Yeah.
I can see your
Yeah.
potential. Like you just need a little bit of more
Yeah.
time. Like let me coach you more. Like, and it cost me money, clients. Last one it cost me a big fucking client, and like even when I think about that client, it still hurts me because I'm like fuck, I lost that client because I didn't fire fast. Even when I call her to let her go, I'm like, well, maybe go take some time off. Like, like saying the words "you're fired" it was hard. Now I'm like, if something happens, I let go quick. Like because it's just like it's hurting me and my own employees too. The ones that are actually doing the good thing, the right job.
Yeah, and I think you just have to, like, I think it can be hard because it can be discouraging. I know I was discouraged at one point, like, oh, I'm not going to, like, teach anybody anything. I'm going to, like, I'm done. Like, people don't
Yeah.
even appreciate it, you know? But I think if you have the right people, it's just going to, like, you being a good person is not bad. I think it's just, like, the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone also told me once, which like opened my mind because I was having this issue, and they told me they're like, if you want to help people, go start a nonprofit.
So true.
They're like, run your business. If you want to go help people, then start a nonprofit. And
That's
I was
true.
like, it's true. There's different ways to help people, and sometimes keeping a bad apple is not the way to do it.
Dude, so let me ask you this now. So you guys, are believers. You walk in this faith. One of the things that I've done this year, I had this massive goal this year. Like, yeah, I'm gonna hit $1 million. I'm gonna have this warehouse, all these employees. And as I started, going to church and like learning all this stuff and battling my own things, what God has done on me this year. There's no value. There's no money value that I will put on it, but I've allowed Him into my business. The decisions that I make, like once that alignment tells me, okay, you need to go this way, that way. How do you guys do that in your business?
As far as like, you're saying like as far as like bringing like God into our business?
Yes.
For me, I think something that's always helped is I have gotten a lot stronger in my faith recently, but something that I could say that I've always had was I've never feared to lose because I've always felt like I've always believed that what I pray for is going to happen. I truly have, and I believe in God. And
have you always been Christian?
I've always been Christian. I grew up going to Christian and Catholic church, and I never really knew as a kid, right? Like, hey, I'm Christian or I'm Catholic, but my mom always taught me to pray, and I've always prayed to God. Like, even if I went 5 years without going to church, I prayed because it's what I knew how to do, and it made me feel good. And I honestly felt like every time I prayed, God answered my prayers, and I saw that growing up. And it's just like I've felt like I couldn't fail. I've just I have God on my side, and I'm not gonna fail. And it's just something that I've always had, and I know that I've come off as annoying to people throughout my life just because they think that I'm joking, where I'm like, oh, like God's with us, like we're not gonna lose. And sometimes I do say it like jokingly, but I'm not. It truly is from my heart. I feel like I can't fail just because. I mean, if you have faith, then have it. Like,
yeah,
right, like have it. Like, that's what it means to have faith, and have it. Because if you're scared, it's okay to be scared, but if you truly don't believe it, then you have faith issues. So, but the truth is like I feel like I'm gonna win, even if I were to lose it all today. I feel like, oh, like God's doing this for to teach me something, and it's just the mentality that I always keep. And I don't know, sometimes I might come off like a crazy Christian, but I won. Like I have God on my side. My intentions are good, and it doesn't matter what happens. Like, I see competition come up, and I'm like, oh, like God wants me to get more creative. He wants me to do this. And I don't think, I mean, God's not out there starting this competition or giving me bad days, but it's like, if you point all your faith to God, then what are you scared of?
So good, dude. That helps me a lot because, I'm this God thing. It's new to me. I was literally straight up for the world. On paper, I was technically good, and then this year it's just been like, okay, like once you walk this path, it's just like I literally tell my team and everybody around me, I got the secret sauce, which is God, Jesus. Every time, no matter what happens, I tell them we got the secret sauce. Let's stay on the path.
Yeah, I like the way I like to incorporate it. I mean, all of our team, we're open about our religion, and I am very thankful right now. Like, I think everybody in our team is Christian, which is good. I mean,
Really?
they're Christ believers. They're not all
Okay.
Christians, but they all believe in Christ. And what I like to do when we're going through really stressful moments, before anybody gets to the warehouse, the production warehouse, is I'll blast, because they always play like reggaeton and Hispanic music
Heck
in
yeah.
the production warehouse. But I always, it's like 5:30 a.m. I'll go in and I'll play worship music, and I just allow God to come into our space, and I think that has given me a lot of peace of mind, because even though I'm not in that warehouse all day, I know that I started it, praising him, and he's there. He's there watching over it. And something else is I always like to encourage, kind of share it in our meeting. So we had a meeting on Friday, and I ended the meeting by saying, like, fear not, for God is with us. It's one of my favorite Bible verses, and the reason I always find like a different inspiration, and I feel like God tells me what they need to hear that week. And what it was is one of my employees was telling me that he wouldn't let his son take the tracks because he was scared. And I told him, I was like, you can't instill that fear in your son. And I told him my favorite Bible verse was, fear not, because I am with you, because I used to be super scared of the dark. And every time now I'm in the dark, I just say, like, oh, there's nothing to fear, like, God is with me.
Wow.
And so I like to encourage, inspired it with our team. And sometimes even when they're going through a challenging time, we had one of our employees go through a really bad car accident, and we all gathered together as a team and we prayed for him, because that's the culture we want to have. Like, you're not just here to just work, but you're also here because these people support you. These people are here for you. And I think that's how we bring God into our business. And now even more, like, I think this year we've kind of gotten stronger in our faith, with Awaken, and realizing, like, we need to speak up as Christians, right? Like, I feel like I used to shy around, like, oh, I don't know if I should say that I'm a Christian, but we've really doubled down, and now we have Jesus painting in our office, so anybody who walks in sees that automatically too.
Yeah, I think it's also important to not judge, right? Because I think when you build a company and stuff, it's good to have values and things, but sometimes people are brought to you for you to be that awakening in them, right? Like, there's only one requirement that I know of that you need to get into heaven, and that's to accept that Jesus died for you and have faith in him. From what I've learned, that's the only requirement. I think that's the only requirement. And am I right?
You guys are experts.
We
You
have
guys,
No, I'm not an expert. I have to call
Get up,
some.
Jesus.
I'm not an expert, but we've been reading the Bible recently, and
Yeah.
that's the only requirement. And
Wow.
when Jesus came, he hung out with sinners.
Yep.
And
That's
we're all sinners. So,
Yep.
like, I think it gets a bad rep, and I tell people all this all the time, because I've been told, like, oh, like, I want to go to your church, but I don't think they allow this type of people. I'm like, man, like, I hate that you think that.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus loved sinners, and Jesus loved people more that sinned and accepted him and wanted better for themselves than people who showed themselves as perfect.
Dude.
And I think that we were all born sinners, so there isn't a perfect person, and grow your team, meet people, because you might see someone that's like, oh, like, right, they don't have the same values as me. They're doing this, they're doing that. Well, then, if you truly are a Christian, then your job is to bring them to God, not to push them away further.
So good.
So I think that's something that's really important. It's like your entire team doesn't have to be Christian, or you obviously want to look for people with similar, right, similar values, but let people come into your life. And I try to challenge myself, like anyone that comes into my life, I'm gonna try to make them better. I tell people I go to church because it makes me a better person, and if you want to go with me, you're invited. And if you think it makes you a better person, I'm just telling you what I've done, what's worked for me, but I'm not gonna hold it against you if you haven't found that in you.
Yeah, dude, and it's so good because so I host my own events here and all of that. And one of the things that I made a point is that my employees know that this walk that I path. As a matter of fact, they know the guy that I was before I was walking this path. They knew all the things because I'm open. I tell them, hey, this is what I've been working on. Like, this is my struggles. And even recently, like when I have my events, I bring a lot of people from Awaken. And one of the guys is one of the guys that I've been hanging out with the most is Blake. Dude, and Blake is like, he prays over people and all of that. And he prayed over one of my employees. We went out to dinner. And then, believe it or not, this week, my right hand, Ozzy, he was like, dude, I want to go to church with you. That was to me, the biggest compliment ever. Because he's been seeing it, what I've been doing since I started doing Awaken You. He's been seeing it. And he's been asking me, he's like, hey, are you doing, how is that going? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, bro, like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. And he asked me this week. And in every event that I have here, I start with a prayer. I allow the Holy Spirit to come in here and then open our hearts and our minds. So you're saying all of that. Dude, you're helping me a lot right now. Like, I'm connecting a lot of dots. So especially you also said that, at 5:30 in the morning, you worshiping. And I do the same thing here when we have events, but I need to do that more. I need to do that way more.
Yeah, and I'm never gonna force somebody. Like there has been team members that if they don't want to pray, it's okay, but they'll just be in our huddle, and we respect that. And I think that's important too. Like, it's like he said, like, not everybody's in the same journey as you. And something I recently learned at the Cherish conference was that if God has put you in a position, right, where I feel like right now we're learning more about our faith, we're growing, and you feel like you're in a good spot, it's to pick other people up. Yep. Who needs your help? Who needs your service? Who needs you to lift them up?
Yep.
And I've realized, like, if I feel like right now my life is good, my relationships are good, I'm growing spiritually, and it's a never-ending journey. Like, now it's time to turn around and who can I help? Mm-hmm. Who can I bring up with me? It's not just like, oh, well, I'm here and you're over there and you're going to stay over there. It's like, let me bring you up with me.
So good. So good. So, and I want to, just to wrap it up, like, I want to honor you guys' time. One of the last questions that I ask everybody in the podcast, and it could be anything. It could be multiple things. Right now, your current situation, where you are in life, what are the things that you're most grateful for?
My wife.
Ooh.
I'm extremely grateful for that. We've been able to build, and it's something that I've been thinking about lately. It's hard to find good people in your life.
Yeah.
And it's even better if you can find someone like a wife that's that good person for you. Not everyone has a healthy relationship or a happy relationship, or not everybody has a supportive partner. And I never wanted to date when I had my media company because I saw it as a waste of time. And when I started dating Melina, I realized that she helped make me a better person. And I'm like, oh wow, like, dating doesn't distract you. If you date the right person, it should only take you forward.
Dude, we should just we could end right there. I was like,
yeah. That was really good.
That wasn't even planned, okay?
That was not planned.
That wasn't even planned. Wow, that was really good.
Are you gonna propose again? No, just kidding.
No, no.
I'm just kidding.
I need points because I wasn't so good this morning. I'm just like, no, that was honest.
What about you?
I think the kind of what I was saying right now, like our life right now, like I'm just so grateful for our life, like being able to live the life that we do together, like. The fact that earlier this month, we got to travel together 2 different times for our business, and we got to experience that together. Like, for me, that was like, wow, like, it's so amazing to experience those things and those moments where, like, we've been meeting a lot of people that are, like, way ahead of us, right? And I'm just like in shock, and I turn to him and I'm like, oh my God, like that is so crazy, and we're experiencing these things together, and I think that's so rewarding, and being able to see each other grow. I mean, I honestly, like, I got emotional, and I'm like gonna get emotional right now talking about it, like seeing him accomplish his goal of like hitting 1 million subscribers. Like I'm so grateful that I'm able to be supportive and be by his side to accomplish those goals. I was like, because I remember when we started dating, like that wasn't even close, you know? And I was like, wow, that this is like, it kind of like shows our relationship by the growth, like I'm like, if we look back to even like, when we started dating, like we were completely different people.
Wow.
Because we were just constantly encouraging each other and growing in our faith, in our business, in our personal lives, and I that's what I'm grateful for, is just seeing the growth. It's so amazing. It's like, it's the most astonishing thing ever. It's like, wow, like I literally close my eyes, look back, and I'm like, I can't believe we were even there, like, and now we're here, and I don't even imagine. I'm not a visionary, he's the visionary, but I can't even imagine where we'll be like 3 years from now.
So good. And I just want to tell you guys, like, like from what I've seen, when I see you guys at church and what I see on social, like, it's very, very beautiful, because like, I can just talk from my own personal experience. Like, I'm building this thing, and it can get very lonely. Especially as you're walking this path with God. You understand that you gotta live those principles. You have to. You can't lie. And as I'm seeing you guys growing your business, your relationship, I can see the why. I can see you guys are doing actually the work behind. And a lot of this younger generation, that's why I like to do this podcast, because, I'm tying in the cool factor of doing cool looking shoes and the celebrities and all these athletes that we work with. But I want to give back to the younger generation so they can understand those principles, the principles that you guys live with. It's part of the recipe. You can't not do that and ask for all these other things.
Yeah, and I think to add on to, like, you saying that feelingness of being alone, right? I think it happens even now, like, even though we have each other, like, I know sometimes it's like, oh, I just want someone to say, like, you're doing a great job, keep going, like kind of what we do to our employees, like, oh, you're doing so
you guys
good,
are.
You're doing great. But I feel like as an entrepreneur, it is lonely, because you don't have anyone to tell you, hey, you're doing really good, like, keep going, or you accomplished this. And I feel like it's even hard for us to, like, because we're go all the time, to just take a moment to take everything in and just like appreciate everything you've done.
So good. So, and then lastly, one, just to wrap it up here, where can people find you, like social media? I mean, YouTube channel, Venmo.
No, I'm banned from Venmo actually, but that's a different story.
You can take PayPal too.
Yeah, I'm banned from Venmo, but we'll save that for another time. Just Trendy Treats. If you Google Trendy Treats or search us up, Trendy Treats will pop up anywhere.
So good. And I want to ask you another thing too. You say you guys are in like other locations. Like, where do people find you if they, some people don't go on social? And
online, trendytreats.com, Amazon. We have an app,
Okay.
Trendy Treats, on the App Store on Google and iPhone. Big cities, candy stores like It's Sugar, hunting stores like Shields, and currently in the process of closing a big one that would put us in every single city in the U.S. So that'll be crazy. So we'll see if that happens.
It will
Not
happen.
every city.
Every city that
Every state.
every city that matters. Every city that matters. I'm sorry for the cities that don't. But
I
if
get
your
it.
city
I
doesn't
get
have
you.
one of these, then it's like
I get you.
then
You're
it's
not a real
then it's
city.
okay. You're
Here's
probably
the-
a town.
Here's the thing: if it's not in the city that you're in, you guys
Then-
need to move to that city.
Yeah, then you're close enough to one of those cities.
Yeah, it'll probably be close enough. And then our personals, he's Trendy Zeus, and then I'm Trendy Mel on Instagram. And we really post more of like our personal
Yeah.
on there, but everything business is on Trendy Treats.
Yeah, I'm funner on the Trendy Treats. I'm a little boring on Trendy Zeus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, like I don't know, I do cool stuff on Trendy Treats, so just look at that one.
That's the one we gotta find out.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one I'm having fun on.
Well, guys, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, I like I said, I want to honor you guys' time. Like, but I could keep going here for another hour. But I'll ask those questions later on. Maybe we can have you guys, come up later next year just to, keep us updated to see the growth. Because, like I said, the world needs this.
Yeah.
They need to see this. Like, it's so cool what you guys do. Like, like when people tell me, "Oh, what you do is cool," yeah, I live it, so it's like, yeah, it's cool. But when I meet other people that are doing all that, "Oh, dude, tell me behind the scenes,
Yeah.
like, how does that work?" So I'm excited, to keep seeing you guys growth and all the cool things that you guys do.
We got to make some candy shoes.
Let's do it, dude. Let's do it. Let's make that video go viral too.
Yeah.
See, you heard it here first.
Let's do it.
No, thank you so much for having us. It was so amazing to see your space. I'm inspired, and I'm like, you need to go give us some ideas because it's
I'd
so,
love to.
it's all white walls. I'm like, let's just go for the minimalist look. And thank you so much for having us. It's really great. I'm so honored, and I'm excited to see what we can do together in the future
Yes, me
because
too.
of your creativity. And I already want a pair of shoes for myself. I might just sneak in my bag when we
There you
head
go.
out.
No, and I love to have we'll set it up, but I want to have my team we'll do a tour and have them see some of the stuff that you guys do. Because when I meet cool people like you guys, I bring everybody with me. I'm like, oh, there's other dreamers that I met. Let's go check out their place. So we'll make that happen.
Nice, definitely. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. It was so good. I encourage you guys to take some notes, go back. There was a lot of nuggets, very inspiring stories that you can take and actually go implement that in your life. So, but anyways, guys, we'll see you next time and stay tuned. Peace.